And history shows us that when bonds stop listening to the central banks, it's usually one of the first warning signs that something's wrong with the financial system. It's important to understand that whenever you hear nerds like me talk about yields or interest rates, it's the same thing. A bond is basically a loan. So when you buy a bond, which you can do inside your favorite brokerage app right now, you're essentially loaning money to a government. Or in the case of what's called a corporate bond, you're loaning money to a company. And in return, they promise to pay you back with interest. So the yield is just the return or the interest rate that you make for lending them your money. And there's a very special rule you have to remember. When bond prices go down because people sell them, the yields or interest rates go up. And when bond prices go up because people are buying them or the government is, their yields or interest rates go down. So you can think of it kind of like a seesaw. But the problem today is that bond yields or rates are going up at a historic pace, which means bond prices are going down. In the US, the interest rate on the 10-year Treasury went up from less than 1% in 2020 to over 4% today. And that is the fastest increase that we've seen in 4 decades. And this is not just a US story. In Japan, bond yields used to be stuck around zero for decades because the Bank of Japan literally put them there by force under something called the yield curve control. But just this year, the cap came off and their yields immediately broke to record highs, which is a huge change for what used to be one of the most stable bond markets in the world. In the UK, the 30-year bond yields haven't been this high since 1998, and that's despite their economy growing at a really slow pace. So in other words, this is not a normal cycle. It's something a lot bigger. So when you hear me say that central banks are losing control, it's because the bond market is now pushing interest rates higher no matter what they say. The two have sort of disconnected. And history shows us that when bonds stop listening to the central banks, it's usually one of the first warning signs that something's wrong with the financial system. So that's the nerdy overview. But now let me explain exactly what's happening around the world because the numbers are kind of crazy.